Hi everybody, I'm Amanda Morgan from NotJustCute.com, and this is First Friday Q&A for the month of November. I have a great question written in here from Nicole. She says, "Hi Amanda, lately I've been sending everyone I meet to your website. I feel like there's a lot of moms out there that just didn't have positive role models in their lives, and they're confused and frustrated about raising their children. It's so sad. Thanks for having everything in one site that is really easy to navigate." Thank you. Anyway, my Q&A. I usually work with first and second graders, and I keep getting caught off guard when asking a simple getting to know you question like, "Oh, I see you really enjoy reading stories about dogs. Do you have a dog or pet at home?" To my question, a sweet little 6-year-old replies, "Well, now my dog is living with my dad. Mom and dad are angry and fighting. They are getting a divorce." The child is not very emotional about it, just very matter of fact. What is the best way to handle this situation in a positive but non-alarming way? I say non-alarming because I don't want my own feelings of how sad the situation is to cloud what this child might need. Thanks for your insights, Nicole, who she adds is happily married with 3 kiddos for whom she's grateful every day. So Nicole, thank you for writing that in. I think that's a really great question, and unfortunately it's something that does apply to a lot of the children that we work with. So I think there are a few things to keep in mind. Just like you said, you want to respond in a way that's positive and reaffirming without being overreactive or alarming. So just like you said, you don't want to react by saying, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, that's so sad, that's so terrible," because they may be working it out on their own. But you do want to respond in a way that validates their feelings. So maybe just asking that, "Oh, how do you feel about that?" Or, "Oh, tell me some more about that." Just giving them an opportunity to talk about their feelings if they want to, and then validating those feelings. Like, "Yeah, that I can see why you would feel that way," or that's hard to have that experience. I can relate just one experience that came to mind immediately when I read that when I was teaching first graders. And again, just reading a story, and I think somebody had become disappointed or something had happened in the story, and so I just simply asked the kids to relate to that. "Have you had an experience that was disappointing?" And one of the girls said, "Yeah, that's kind of like when my grandma worked really hard to make a Thanksgiving dinner, and then my mom and dad got in a big fight and we left and we didn't even eat that dinner, and she worked really hard. I bet she was disappointed." And just like you, it's one of those where you feel, "Oh, that's so sad," but your response has to be more tempered. And I just simply said, "That would be disappointing. She did work very hard. That would be disappointing." But then I filed that away in my brain to keep in mind to keep tabs on that child. And that's the second part that you would want to do, is just to give that child, you don't want them to stand out or make them feel like some kind of victim. They're the child of divorce and make some big deal out of it. But just keep it in the back of your mind and pay attention. If they're looking sad or upset or worried, just give them, put an arm around them and give them the opportunity to talk about it. "How are you doing today? How are things going for you?" And if they want to talk about it, they'll talk about it. And if they don't, they won't. And it may be, you may see an upset child and think, "Oh, this poor child, it must be something with this divorce." And then you ask how they're doing and it's something completely different. Still great to validate those feelings and have someone they can talk to, but we don't want to jump to conclusions. Some children handle divorce in different ways, and parents handle divorce in different ways. And so it's going to affect every child that has to experience this in their families. It's going to have an effect on them in some way, but that effect is going to be different. So I think the second part that I would focus on is just remembering how important it is for you just to be a strong figure for them. I listened to a talk by Dr. Sam Goldstein years and years ago. I'll put a link to him down below, but he talks a lot about resiliency and how resilient children are and what factors affect their resiliency. And it stuck with me all these years. At one point that he brings out talking about what he calls a charismatic adult, that it really takes one adult for a child to connect with, to know that that adult cares about them, that that adult is a good role model for them, and that that adult connects with them, that alone can be a factor towards resiliency for whatever risk factor or difficulty a child might be experiencing. So I'd keep that in mind. Just try to be that charismatic adult for the child, to connect with them and give them that consistency and caring that might help them carry them through a time that might otherwise be very difficult. I think other things to keep in mind when you're working with children that are going through a divorce, whether you're the parent or a teacher, is just to provide as much consistency as you can, to give them choices when you can so that they feel a sense of control. For a lot of children going through a divorce, it's like their world is being turned upside down. And so giving them something that's consistent that they can count on, giving them some things that they can control will be helpful for them as well. So having consistency in your school program will be helpful. also giving them opportunities for expression. So your open-ended creative activities, giving them opportunities to write, to draw, to do dramatic play, those types of things. Again, if there's something that they're working through that's hard for them to understand, or feelings that they're trying to express, they'll take those opportunities to work them out, but it doesn't force them to. It's different than sitting down and saying, draw me a picture about how you feel about this divorce that's happening. That puts them in a really uncomfortable situation. But when you just give them opportunities to write or to draw, if it's something that's weighing on their mind, they'll usually use that as an outlet if they need it. So just offering those opportunities, just offering that arm around their shoulder, just like you would with any other child, but just being more conscious about it. That you give them someone that they can connect to be that charismatic adult, to offer support and consistency, and just like you said, to not overreact, but to validate those feelings when they want to talk about them. So hopefully, Nicole, that's helpful for you. I think you're headed in the right direction just in the way that you phrased your question. So hopefully that gave you a few more things to think about. I'll also put some links down below that might help some of you either as teachers or parents working with children and considering the factor of divorce in their lives. So if there are some of you out there that have some other great resources you'd like to share, that would be fantastic. Add those in on your comments, your ideas or links, whatever might help anyone that might need more resources on this topic of divorce. It's a hard thing that affects so many children, but it's something that can be handled in better ways than others, that can be, the children can be supported and reinforced in great ways so that we can support and help these children. So hopefully that's helpful for you out there. If you have a question, please send those into questions@notjustcute.com, and we'll be back here in December for the next First Friday Q&A. So I'll see you then. Thanks. Again, this is Amanda Morgan from notjustcute.com.